What do we know, if anything, about the security of our electoral process right now from cyber attacks?
Well, one big difference, David, is that in 2016, we didn't know what D&I Coates just said, that there were blinking red lights. We do now. We in Connecticut were asked, was there a probe against our electoral system? And so we went back and checked the records, and sure enough, there was. There was an attack from Russia. Our firewall caught it, and we hadn't even known about it because the system worked. And our Secretary of the State is hard at work at it. I think the fact that across the country, the secretaries of the state, the election officials know it's coming and are taking it seriously are reassuring. I'm far more worried about propaganda, frankly. This business of taking both sides of a controversial issue, like take a knee or immigration, in order just to set one American up against another and cause controversy. I'm more worried about the propaganda than I am the actual security. We've got ballots in Connecticut that it's a mechanical system with a paper ballot. So if anything goes wrong, you go back and count the ballots. So I think we're in good shape.
Do you have a sense, Mr. House, on election night, whether we will be able to sense in real time whether there's been an attack that has succeeded, that's gotten past that firewall?
I just don't know. I think we probably would have heard the noise, seen the confusion, seen the effects of it. So I think so. But I haven't been working directly in this field, so I'm not one to give an answer on that. But I know that the election officials are right on top of it and looking for any signs of disruption, and that they'd tell us about it if they found them.
So let's talk more broadly the way Director Coates was talking about, in general, our digital infrastructure, because you have done a lot of work, for example, on public utilities and the grid. And you have a report out now, I guess it's your second annual report, in which there are some pretty remarkable things, which, as I understand it, one of the things you said is that you sometimes have had as many as 1 million hits in a day.
On one utility?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, we looked at 4 utilities in Connecticut, the 2 big electric and natural gas utilities, and 2 water companies. Every single utility is hit every day, but that figure is absolutely right. One of the utilities has over 1 million hits a day. Now, some of those are machine-driven. You try one number and the next and the next and the next, but security is earned every single day in the utilities industry. The people are knocking at the door. They are trying to get in. And the only reason they don't is because utilities have put up firewall security systems, have a corporate culture, and are managing this to keep the bad guys out.
And how confident are you of your ability in Connecticut to track this back and know where those hits are coming from? And is there a pattern to them?
One utility keeps a chart of where they come from. They come from every continent in the world. They don't go back and attribute every single one of them because they can tell what nation states are sending them as well as individuals. But it's broad. I mean, the usual suspects as well as some that are never, that we don't know. Are we confident? You never say that. I mean, you're just lucky, or you're happy every day that the system has worked and that there are people there who take it extremely seriously. The penetration of a utility can have devastating consequences, and so it's something that has to be taken quite seriously, David.
So whose responsibility is this? I mean, to what extent does the federal government need to step up? Do they need to centralize and have a centralized authority? To what extent is it the states? To what extent is the private sector?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because in the United States, the distribution of utility services, meaning natural gas, electricity, water, are the responsibility of the states. They are the ones who have to have oversight and to ensure that their utilities in their states have adequate cybersecurity defense. The federal government does interstate transmission of gas or electricity or water. But the real problem is in distribution locally. And so that is the state's responsibility. Now, having said that, the public utilities are private companies that are regulated. And so it's up to them to come up with the systems, the firewalls, and the trade association work. There are some outstanding consultants in the United States who come in to fill the gaps. So I guess the quick answer to your question is, for distribution of these utilities, it's the responsibility of the utilities themselves with oversight by the state.